Hi guys, it's me, Tier Jefferson, coming to you on behalf of Devotions of Purity. So I just wanted to do just a quick video to give you guys the vocal background of the last post that I posted on my actual blog page, which is devutionsofpurity.blogspot.com for those of you that have not yet visited it. Um, on the last post, I talked about my personal experience with being celibate and with living a life of purity. And I have gotten so many text messages and personal feedback on that video, on that post, that for a while I was very hesitant on posting because, like I said in the post, it's very sensitive to me. And I don't want anybody to think that's what this blog is all about, because that is not. But that is definitely what has been a part of my life. And from the feedback that I have gotten back from people, that is a part of other people's lives too. So it's definitely something that needed to be touched on. It's definitely something that needed to be talked about. And I'm just glad that, I overcame that fear and I was able to open up about my personal life and also be able to help someone else that may be going through it right now, or that's battling back and forth with a decision on whether or not to do that. Now, before I even go into this video for these few short minutes, um, I have no heaven or I have no hell to put nobody in. And I'm not judging anybody, because I know, like I said, from my own personal experience, it took a lot out of me to make that decision. And it takes a lot to walk that path, and it takes a lot to stay on that path once you have started it. So I dare not condemn anybody. I dare not put my nose up at anybody. I dare not look down at anybody. All I want to say is it's totally your choice. You have to make that decision. You have to want to do that. And only you can make that decision and live that walk for you. Nobody else can do that decision for or make that choice for you but you. So this isn't a video to try to say, oh, this is going to happen if you don't do it, or this is what's going to happen if you do it. I don't have the power or the authority to make any changes for anybody's life. All I can say is this is just strictly my personal experience that I'm going to try to fit in really quick. You'll get the whole brief breakdown of it, like I said, on the actual blog page. So if you have not checked that out yet, go to www.devutionsofpurity.blogspot.com and you will find the full breakdown of that. So like I said, and like some of you guys know, or if you haven't, if this is your first time tuning in, I definitely want to thank you for that. But I decided to be celibate and live a life of purity back in 2014. It was June 28th to be exact. Yes, I do remember the date because it was crazy for me. And during that time, it was definitely very challenging for me. At that time, I was in a serious relationship with someone that at that time I thought I was going to marry. So with me making that decision, I thought that that person was going to make that decision with me. And one thing led to another. We did it for a little while, but it didn't work out. And there's no shame or no blame in that. It just didn't work out. God had other plans. So here I am today. But with walking that path out, it was very challenging because I did it thinking, okay, well, me and this person's about to get married. So, I can do it for a few months and that'll be it. And we'll be married in no time. So I really don't have to go through it for that long. So I can remember telling God this one time I was at my house, and I remember making a decision, crying my eyes out, feeling crazy, feeling sick to my stomach because I knew I really didn't want to do it, but I knew that I was feeling a tug, and I knew that God was really dealing with me with this area and with this situation. So I did it. I took a leap of faith and I did it. And I remember saying, okay, God, I'm going to do it. I'm going to live a celibate life. I'm going to work it out. I'm going to do it just for you, because we're about to get married. So it's okay. I can do it for a little while. So I made the decision, and I can remember the person that I was dating at the time. We talked about it. We had a date planned and everything all set out. And 2 weeks before the date that we planned, he told me that he could not do it. He said he wasn't ready. He didn't want to do it. So, of course, me being me, I was heartbroken. I was very devastated. I was very sad. Me and my mother, we had went and looked at the venue. I was trying to figure out how he was going to come with money and everything because, like I said, I thought that was going to happen. And it didn't. So I was just devastated. I was heartbroken because, I'm like, okay, God, well, I told you I was going to be celibate. I made this promise and now we're not getting married. So what? I know I can't, back off my promise. I know I can't change my mind. So what happens now? So I thought, after time he would change his mind. Things would be different. I thought, he would change his mind and we would do it. But he didn't. So I made that promise off the strength of what I thought was going to happen, and it didn't happen. And it didn't make sense then, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense now, but it makes more sense that God rerouted me and he put me on a different path. And I had my own life planned out. I had what I thought was going to happen, but it didn't happen that way. And it was that situation that brought me to God as close as I am now, because here it was, I was looking to flesh to please me and satisfy me and give me everything I needed. But God came into that moment and said, no, I am everything that you need. I am everything that you're going to need and use in your life to push you and to press towards the mark that I have planned for you. So it was in that moment when the relationship had ended and God had continued to pull me closer to him, that I had to learn to be obedient to him first and to live a life of submission to him first before I can live a life of submission to anybody else. I didn't even know how to, I couldn't even, now that I think about it, it was like I couldn't even have submitted my life and be a wife to somebody else when I had submitted my own life to God, the creator, the person who put me here on this earth. So it was almost like, how can you submit to somebody else and you're not even submitted to me? Like, you don't know my word. I didn't know the first thing about being a wife. All I knew was when you're married, you can have sex. So I was like, okay, Lord, you telling me not to have sex, so if I get married, I could do it. And I thought that was going to be the answers to my question, and I was so wrong. That was not the answer to it. So fast forwarded, here I am at the age of 27, and I was 23 when I made this decision. It has been 41. Tomorrow, I think I'll make 42 months. Anyway, it's been since June of 2014 that God has led me here. I'm still here. I'm still pressing on and I'm still pushing. And I just strictly want to encourage somebody that if you're feeling that tug, or if you're feeling like this is something that God is dealing with you with, or you're feeling like this is something that you want to try, at the end of the day, the only person that can make that decision for you is you. You can either say yes or you can say no. I just know for me, I just didn't have any peace in my life until I made that decision. I didn't have any peace until I said yes. I didn't have any closure until I said yes. And I can remember asking everybody, do you think something bad is going to happen to me if I don't do it? Do you think something bad is going to happen to me if I continue to fornicate when I know that God is telling me that I shouldn't? And everybody else was saying, no, God created sex. Nothing bad is going to happen to you. That's what he created it for. And true, he did create that for us, but he only created it for marriage, for husband and wife, for people who are equally yoked, who are one, to be able to engage in this type of activity. Not before then, because before then you have to worry about soul ties. When you're breaking up, you got to worry about y'all shacking up, playing house. Hello, I did it. Then one person, you got all your stuff together. Then y'all break up. Then you have to move here. This person has to move there. You got to change your light bill, gas bill, phones, car notes, car insurance, find new places. Like, that's a lot to deal with. And I believe that is why God tells us not to put ourselves into these situations before we get married, because he knows things like this is going to happen. And then sometimes, thank God that it didn't happen to me, and I'm not pointing the blame or the finger at anybody, but then sometimes we get babies out of these situations, and then we try to make things work. We try to make the family stay together. We try to keep our happiness because we want to keep our family, when our actuality is we're making ourselves even worse, and we're stressed out even the more because we're trying to save something that's not intended to be saved in the first place. We're trying to make something work that's not intended to work in the first place. So here it is, we're here. We're trying to make things work. We're trying to make ourselves happy. But in all actuality, we're painting this picture for everybody else. But inside, we're crying for our way out. We're hurt. We're broken. We're frustrated. And it's like all we're screaming is, help me, help me. But we're trying to mask this picture and paint and ask God, show me this, show me that, show me this, show me that. And when he shows us it, it's like we don't want to face reality because we don't want him to answer the way he's going to answer. And it's like, God, why can't you say yes? But it's like at the end of the day, we have to trust the word when the word tells us that when God says, for I know the plans I have for you. So the plans that he had for me to make that decision was not to make me sad, was not to hurt me, or not to break my heart or to turn his back on me, but it's for him to strictly show me that I have better for you. I have better in store for you. I have something so much higher than your mind can even focus on. So if you just trust me and walk with me, I will show you exactly why those things that you thought were good for you weren't good for you. And those things that you thought you wanted, you really don't need, because what I need, what I have for you is right here in the palm of my hands. And if you just take those my hands and you hold on to it, I'm going to walk you to that destination. I'm going to walk you to your promise. I'm going to walk to your destiny. I'm going to walk you to your ministry. I'm going to walk you to everything that you need. So trust in me. Don't trust in man. Trust in me. I am your creator. I am your father. Trust in me, and I will do it for you. And I can say, like I told you guys on the last video, since I have trusted in God and I have walked with him, a lot of things have changed for my life. No, everything is not perfect and everything is not the way I want it to be. But every time you watch this video, you're looking at something that God birthed in me. Devotions of purity. This is something that he has given me since I have said yes. And I'm so grateful to know that I have people that really tune in and they're interested in what God is doing in my life, so that way what he's doing in me I can share with you and hopefully pull somebody closer to the cross. So a few scriptures that I have come up with when I was doing this brief study that I want to share with you guys. There's a few more that's on the blog page if you go to that to actually read what was going on and read the whole breakdown of me making this decision and living a life of purity. But I am going to share with you a few scriptures. The first one I'm going to share, this one's going to come out of the King James Version. I like the King James Version for this particular scripture because, like I said before, different versions of the Bible breaks down things different ways. So the first one I'm going to read is Galatians 6 and 9. And it tells us, let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. And basically what I got from that is, when you're doing what is right, when you're doing things that are pleasing God, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. It doesn't matter what anybody else think we should be doing or how they feel like we should feel. But when you know you're doing something that pleases God, just know at the end of the day, he is going to reward you for your faithfulness, because he is a God that is faithful. So anytime you give up or you do anything, and it's in the word, anytime you give up or you do anything that is pleasing God, you best believe that at the end of the day, he's going to come through for you. It might not feel good while you're walking through it, but when you get to wherever it is that he's trying to take you, believe that there is a reward there. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. It doesn't matter how anybody else drops you off. It doesn't matter who stops talking to you. It doesn't matter who says, yo, you're acting corny. It doesn't matter when somebody else says, oh, I don't want to hear that, get out of here. At the end of the day, you hold on to God, because he's the only one that's going to give you your peace, your strength, everything that you need to get you to wherever it is that he's getting you to. The next one I have is Psalms 19, and that's 9 through 16, and that's going to come out of the New Living Translation. And like I said, that's Psalms 19, and that is, what did I say? I'm sorry, 9 through 16. And it says, how can a young person stay pure? By obeying the word. I have tried hard to find you. Don't let me wander from your commands. I have hidden your word in my heart, that I might not sin against you. I praise you, O Lord. Teach me your decrees. I have recited aloud all the regulations you have given us. I have rejoiced in your laws as much as in your riches. I will study your commandments and reflect on your ways. I will delight in your decrees and not forget your word. So at the end of the day, that just means, just because you're young, and if someone who's older even watching this, I thank God for you. But just because you're young, like I said, like me and like you, just because we're in our 20s or in our early 30s, that doesn't mean that you can't be used or that you can't be made out of an example. My aunt came over this weekend and she said, we had a conversation, and she said, Tia, God is making an example out of you. And I truly believe that, because before I started walking this, I really didn't know anybody that was living a life of purity. And God has brought in some other women and even some men in my life that are doing it, that are in their 20s. So I definitely thank God for that, because just because we're young does not mean that we can't be used. And the very last one I have is Colossians 3, 5 through 8. And that says, so put to death the sinful earthly things lurking within you. You have nothing to do with sexual immorality, impurity, lust, and evil desires. Don't be greedy, for a greedy person is an idolater, worshiping the things of this world. Because of these sins, the anger of God is coming. You used to do these things when your life was still part of the world, but now it is time to get rid of rage, anger, malicious behavior, slander, and dirty language. So this just tells us those things that are in the world, now that we're into God's hand, let it go. Give it to God. Press, pray, and wait for what he has for you to be able to produce, as long as you stay faithful and you stay connected to him. So like I said, for the brief breakdown, visit the blog. You'll get everything